All right, today is Friday, June 4th, 2021. Yesterday was June 3rd, 2021. It's important to point that out because yesterday in uptown Minneapolis, there was another black man shot and killed by law enforcement here in Minneapolis. Bring Me the News has ran a story that's saying that the friends have identified the black man who's been shot and killed by the police, by law enforcement, as Winston Smith. They say U.S. Marshals were present. They also say that Sheriff's Department was present. But the thing that we're honing in on is the narrative. The narrative. Look very closely at the narrative. And regardless of how you feel about Winston Smith or what he's done in the past or who you've deemed him as, a good or bad person, look at the narrative that they're putting out there. On Bring Me the News, they cite that U.S. Marshals and the Sheriff's Department said that he had a gun and he was a felon, and that he, quote unquote, presented the handgun, and then they shot and killed him. You also have to look at how long they held the space. They held the space for, I want to say, over 6 hours as people were standing outside of it. Then when the police left, they came back with flashbang grenades, rubber bullets, and tried to disperse the crowd of maybe, if you were watching Unicorn Riot, to my guesstimate, looked like less than 20 people. So we're seeing the pattern. We're seeing the pattern, right? We're seeing black man gets killed by law enforcement. The story comes out that, hey, he was an unsavory character, which is then trying to make it seem like that this black body deserved to be killed, right? And then they go off and say they don't hold a press conference right away, such as John Elder coming out, and which they're going to have one today. It might be happening right now. And then lastly, they clean the space, bring in the riot gear. So we saw this with Dalal Eid. We saw this with George Floyd. We saw this with Dante Wright. So we know how they work. The idea is to keep your eye on the narrative, because what they'll do is try to dissuade you and say this was they'll condemn this person. And when we talk about the four horsemen in therapy, criticism, defensiveness, stonewalling, condemnation. And condemnation is a tough one, because we want to write people off and say, bad person, horrible person. However, in therapy we say, that's unacceptable behavior. We don't write people off. We say that's just bad behavior. Don't do that again. So, but what the cops will do with propaganda is try to write off the person. They will try to condemn the black body and convince you to condemn the black body as well. Now, we don't have all the information about Winston Smith, so I'm not going to sit here and speak for who he is or who he isn't. However, what I'm telling you to look out for is their condemnation and their exoneration of their actions. So keep your eye on that and tell us what you think about what you're seeing coming out of law enforcement in the press conferences that they're making about the most recent killing that they made just yesterday.